Could project management be just the perfect path for you? Would becoming a project manager finally give you the opportunities that you've been missing so badly? Would you still be able to live the life you wanted? And with all the benefits that people mention about this job, what are the downsides? The things nobody talks about that you might want to know before you open a new chapter in your career. Join me for an honest look at the pros and cons of being a project manager. I share the highs, the lows, and everything in between. I'll explain what a project manager's job actually feels like. And after watching this video, you'll understand why some consider it one of the toughest jobs out there, but also why so many of us pour their heart and soul into it, because the rewards make it all worth it. So, shall we start? I'll begin with the pros. What makes a project manager such an awesome opportunity? Number one, being a project manager is incredibly engaging and fun. It's a job that you will never grow tired of. Project management is the opposite of boring. It's the opposite of routine work. And no 2 days are the same. That's because there is no formula to follow. Whatever project you go in, it's unfamiliar territory. It's something that has never been done before, or not in the same way, or not with the same people. So you have to figure out how to accomplish the mission while handling all the surprises and challenges that come your way. This includes working with a lot of people, which is a major aspect that makes the job so much fun. You collaborate with people from all sorts of backgrounds. You get to learn about fields other than your own, and you're exposed to other ways of thinking, and that's incredibly refreshing. You also collaborate with people far above your level, such as management and executives, which is really rewarding. And it's kind of unique, because think of it, which other job gives you this opportunity? Then there's also the variety of tasks. Unlike other jobs where you're operating in a very narrow lane and perform a small set of clearly defined tasks, as a project manager, your responsibilities include everything needed to move the project forward and get it across the finish line. You have to do whatever it takes. And one moment you might be reviewing progress with your team. The next you could be running a workshop. Then you might find yourself in a heated discussion with a stakeholder to drum up support. And then, as you wrap up your day, you get a call from a team member. Hey, we have a problem. And so you spend another hour on the phone tearing out your hair and trying to come up with ideas how you can keep your project within safe waters. And it's moments like these that make the job unpredictable, but also incredibly fun. Your days are packed with different tasks, many of which you didn't see coming. And for me, this variety of tasks was actually the main reason why I wanted to do project management. Many years ago, I was in a technical job and I felt like I was using only a fraction of my skills. I felt like a monkey doing the same trick over and over. And I wanted to find out what else I was capable of. And so project management has been the perfect playground for me. And so if you like to be challenged and you want to grow, it might be exactly the right path for you. Let's talk about another advantage. Another huge benefit of being a project manager is you have complete autonomy. How you organize your day, how you approach your work, who you spend your time with and get that project done. It's all up to you. You have complete autonomy. And while you still have a boss, because there needs to be someone in the org chart above you, right? Your interactions are usually limited to progress updates. Your manager just wants to be sure you've got things under control and they don't have to worry. They are typically not involved in the day-to-day project work, and so there aren't many touching points between you and your manager, which is great, especially if you don't like being told what to do, like me. And nowadays, where so many people are struggling with managers that are micromanaging them, or they are incompetent or outright rude, it's just great not to have that problem, because your duties and your manager's duties usually don't intersect. And for me, this autonomy has been one of the biggest perks. But what does having complete autonomy mean on a practical level? It means you can be creative. You have the freedom to try your own ideas. You can see what works and you learn a lot along the way. You're only bound by the project's constraints, which are the timeline, the budget, and the scope. But how you get from the starting point to delivering a successful result is entirely up to you. Third benefit of being a project manager. Project management is a fast track to personal growth. So if you're ambitious, if you want to challenge yourself and go down the leadership route, maybe one day become the CEO, project management is your leadership boot camp. It's an intense, high-paced environment where you build up important leadership skills in a very short period of time. And you effectively perform leadership tasks, such as defining responsibilities, delegating work, coaching and motivating team members, providing feedback, and so on. So for someone who is driven, eager to learn, and willing to take risks, project management is a great fast track for growth. And this is also my story. When I decided to try project management, I deliberately wanted to put myself in a tough environment where I was forced to grow, to step out of my comfort zone. I desperately wanted to grow. I wanted to develop authority. I wasn't the best communicator, but I wanted to become better at communication. I wanted to become tougher, learn how to manage stress, learn how to collaborate with a wide range of people, and not just the ones that are easy to get along with. That's why I decided to try myself as a project leader. Benefit number 4. Project managers make good money. That's partly because the skills you need as a project leader are pretty rare. Not many people seem to have that mix of skills or the potential to develop it. Another reason why project management positions pay very well is because you are in a high impact position, and that applies to all jobs. Your salary is based on the value you deliver, and I'm talking about real monetary value. If you're merely in a technical or expert role, your ability to make a huge impact for the organization is limited unless you invent the next big thing. But as a project manager, especially when you lead big client projects, the value you bring is massive, and successfully delivering a project means millions in revenue, happy clients, and future contracts. It's a big deal, and a lot of the success depends on you. The same goes for in-house project managers, where you manage complex initiatives like IT projects, which is my territory, product development, engineering projects. These projects have a huge impact on a company's bottom line, and if they fail, it can lead to significant financial losses, clients leaving for the competition, and in some cases, companies nearly going bankrupt. So whether you manage client projects or in-house projects, your work has a huge impact on the organization, which is why you're paid well. Shall we talk about the downsides of the project manager job? I have a lot to say. Downside number 1, being a project manager is extremely stressful. You have immense responsibility and you literally feel its weight on your shoulders. But you're completely on your own. You have no one to turn to if you don't know what to do. You're just focused on the end goal, which everyone expects you to achieve. On top of that, your timelines are usually extremely tight, and so is your budget. And you only have limited influence on either. So, with a limited budget, a tight schedule, and a limited number of people, the room for error is very small. And so the pressure on you is already high. On a practical day-by-day level, your work involves getting people to work on the defined tasks necessary to achieve the project goal. And this is where it gets incredibly exhausting. Having to push people all the time. Remember, the people you work with, they are not your subordinates. You have no control over their schedule. They have dozens of other things on their plate. And your project is competing against all those other commitments. So you constantly have to make sure your project is getting the priority it needs. And you're dealing with all the peculiarities of human nature. Lack of motivation, people who just see problems, people who forget their tasks, people who are not getting along with each other, office politics. It's the whole circus. So as a project manager, you constantly have to remind, encourage, motivate and push people because the next milestone is just around the corner. On top of that, you have to deal with all the unexpected events. People calling in sick, technical issues, delivery problems, unfavorable weather conditions. Sometimes it feels like everything is going against you and you're heading straight into a big disaster. And having to deal with all this adversity without losing hope is really draining, both mentally and physically. I've had times where I couldn't sleep for days because I was so worried we couldn't make it. I lost a lot of weight during intense phases because I was in meetings all the time instead of having lunch. So you have to be capable of handling a high level of stress. You can't avoid it. You have to keep the engine, which is your project, running. This brings me to my next point. Another downside of the job compared to other roles is project management is a long game where you don't see quick results. Projects usually last many months or even years, and most of my projects took over a year to complete. That meant 15, 18 months of intense, stressful work without seeing any end result and without knowing whether we'd eventually make it. So the reward as a project manager only comes at the very end, when all things line up, you complete the project and you finally see the results of your hard work. Compare that with other roles where the results are much faster, along with the sense of accomplishment. You can end your day knowing you've accomplished something. It's done, it feels satisfying. And you're not stressing about the things that still have to be done. As a project manager, it's very different. Of course, you make progress, you close off tasks, but it feels more like a roller coaster ride. Some days you make progress and other days everything is falling apart. Issue after issue pops up unexpectedly and it feels like you're gonna fail. So steering a project from initiation to completion is a long, painful journey without quick results, but with regular setbacks. And so what happens is you often take your emotions with you when you leave the office or when you close your laptop. You're always thinking about your project, and the fear of failure, of having missed something, of not having taken the right action is always with you. So you have to figure out how you handle those feelings. You need to find satisfaction not just in the results, but in the journey of getting there. Here's another downside of being a project manager, which is relevant for those of you who value flexibility. As a project manager, you have little control over your schedule. And this may sound counter to what I've said earlier about having full autonomy. The thing is, project management is a highly collaborative role where you need to be in constant contact with your team, your clients, your stakeholders. So you need to be working when everybody else is working. You have to run meetings, you have to answer calls, you have to answer emails promptly, please, and you have to be available when your team needs your help. So if you need flexibility regarding your working time because you have kids or relatives to care for example, then project management is not a good option for you. That's it. I've shared with you the pros and cons of being a project manager based on my experience. Please don't let the challenging aspects I've shared discourage you from giving it a shot. My goal was to give you a clear picture so that you know what to expect. And yes, the tough parts of the role might seem overwhelming, but the truth is, you get better with experience. You learn to handle the challenges, and before you know it, you get really good at it. And that's where the job becomes so much fun and so rewarding. And you'll become extremely proud of yourself, of the growth that you've achieved. Remember, there is no growth without challenge. Thanks for watching. I'll see you around.